This is the life jacket worn by Madeline Astor. It was the only life jacket known to be worn by a specific passenger. Buongiorno everyone, Clams Mahoney here, your source for SoCal fun and excitement. And in today's Clanspiration, we're at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. They have a special exhibit all about the Titanic with artifacts, props, and pictures from the actual wreck and from the hit movie. Now, if you guys would like to make your own legacy, head on over to Clams Mahoney and consider subscribing. He releases a new video every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, so that way you don't want to miss it. Now, with all that said, let's go inside and learn about my history and about that ill-fated ship. Titanic, an unsinkable ship which sank on her maiden voyage April 15, 1912, while she was a marvel of engineering with her watertight compartments and her double keel. Who would have believed that the final chapter of Titanic would be solved within the sorcery of the Cold War espionage? Dr. Robert Ballard discovered Titanic as a part of a top-secret mission investigating the wreck of the nuclear submarine, USS THRESHER and USS SCORPION. So here we have a map showing the loss of the Titanic, the USS SCORPION, and the USS THRESHER. What I think is very interesting is, if you look how close the Titanic was to reaching New York. In reality, it wasn't that far off. I always thought it was like the middle of the ocean, but that's actually not too far from New York. So this section here covers the USS Scorpion and the USS Thresher, and they were both lost. And because of their loss, that's how they found the Titanic when they were searching for these two missing nuclear submarines.
So here's the Titanic at the surface, okay? It goes where it snaps. What's it now? Big salt. What's coming out? So what happened?
So here's the map. You can see how far the bow and the stern were from when they separated. So they separated and then twisted and fell and landed quite a ways apart from each other. And as you can see, they have this set up so you can kind of get an idea of what the debris field would look like. Thousands of items from the Titanic spilled onto the ocean floor as she sank. Cooking utensils, coal, shoes, ships, fragments, and child's doll head all have been spotted in the debris trail. Many of them are perfectly preserved and the others covered with rust. So now that we've explored things about the actual ship and its discovery, we're going to move on to its cinematic counterpart, the 1997 film Titanic, directed by James Cameron. And this is the Titanic wreck model. Cameron planned each of his 12 dives with the same meticulous care of a lunar landing, storyboarding each take ahead of time with his 1/30th scale model of the wreck site. These dives shed new light on the Titanic wreck site, actual conditions such as how greatly the bow section collapsed on impact. Cameron has since completed over 33 dives to the Titanic wreck site, spending more time with the ship than the survivors ever did. Titanic wreckage. Though underwater scenes made up only a small portion of the 1997 movie Titanic, James Cameron paid extreme attention to detail to make the underwater wreckage pieces such as this one as accurate as possible. This scale model of the starboard side of the hull outside the boiler room shows where the rivets popped after the impact with the Titanic made the plates pull apart. Dives to the wreck have shown that the iceberg did not pierce holes in the hull, but pushed into it, causing the hull plates to buckle inwards. This was enough to create a series of leaks, allowing enough water to pour in to doom the ship. In the film Titanic, Jack slips Rose a note to "Make it count, meet me at the clock." This clock and chair were reportedly for the grand staircase set for the movie. However, they and some railing pieces are all that remain. During filming, some of the practical effects had to be done in a single take as the sets were destroyed in the process. When the filming crew flooded the grand staircase, 90,000 gallons of water came rushing in. The force actually ripped the entire staircase from its foundation, which led researchers to believe this is what really happened to the Titanic staircase, explaining why it is not found inside the wrecked ship. Suite B-52, B-54, B-56. In the film, Keldon Hockley, Rose DeWitt, and Ruth DeWitt occupied rooms B-52, B-54, B-56, the most expensive rooms on the Titanic. They were actual rooms and had been booked by J.P. Morgan, who later changed his plans and did not sail that voyage. The suite on display was the location of several prominent scenes, including Rose and Cal's conversation about art and Jack's drawing of Rose while wearing the Heart of the Ocean necklace. Why so few lifeboats? Titanic carried 16 wooden lifeboats and 4 canvas collapsibles, which could hold 1,178 people, falling far short of the more than 2,200 people on board. The original design called for 64 boats, but no one wanted to waste valuable deck space for lifeboats on a practically unsinkable ship. Lifeboats were not intended to hold all passengers, but rather to ferry them to another ship. Passengers rowed to keep warm, sang hymns, and prayed. When Carpathia arrived, passengers had been in the lifeboats for 2 to 6 hours. Jeez. Each lifeboat bore a plaque with the ship's name, a plaque reading Liverpool, White Star Line's flags, and the lifeboat number. The nameplate of the lifeboat listed the number of the ships as the SS Titanic rather than the RMS Titanic. The plaques are all that remain of the lifeboats today. So this picture shows communications between the Titanic and the Carpathia, which is the ship that pretty much came and rescued them. 12:17 a.m. Titanic position 41.4 north, 50.24 west. Require immediate assistance. Come at once. We struck an iceberg sinking. Carpathia to Titanic. Shall I tell my captain you require assistance? Titanic to Carpathia. Yes, come quick. Putting down and heading for you. Titanic to Carpathia. Last wire transmission. Titanic, we are sinking fast. Passengers are being put into lifeboats. Titanic. Carpathia to Virginia. We are leaving with all on board, about 700 passengers. Please return to your northern course. And you can see here's a picture of all the different ships that were around the Titanic. Titanic strikes iceberg, all saved. Early newspaper articles reported that all passengers were safe based on mishearing of overlapping wireless messages from multiple ships that erroneously reported that the Titanic was being towed to Halifax and all her passengers were transferred to the Parisian or the Virginian. Later newspaper articles reported the severity of the disaster as more information came in. Marguerite Brown was lauded for her leadership roles on the Titanic, helping to load lifeboats and rowing in Lifeboat 6 and organizing a relief fund on the Carpathia. She stayed in the Carpathia to assist a number of women who had nothing and knew no one in New York. Once they were placed, she welcomed them to come visit her. She was given the nickname the Unsinkable Molly Brown, and though she never used it, she was given to it in films and musicals. Saved from the ocean thanks to a toy pig. Russell's pig-shaped music box played by winding the tail. She was saved in Lifeboat 11, which included a number of children. She played the music box all night to soothe them. Misunderstanding the story, passengers of the Carpathia were later upset when they heard rumors that someone had saved a pet pig. As you can see, they have a fragment of the toy pig, which belonged to her. That's interesting. I mean, whatever you can do to survive. A Night Never Forgotten, The Legacy of the Titanic. The story of the Titanic did not simply end when the ship sank. Parts of the Titanic's legacy of death and futility was a push to ensure such a tragedy would never happen again. Lifeboat regulations were put into place that required a seat for each passenger. Though many considered Titanic survivors lucky, not all who escaped felt the same way. Many experienced a trauma that haunted them for their entire lives, suffering from what we now know as post-traumatic stress disorder. The 1986 RMS Titanic Maritime Memorial Act, signed by President Ronald Reagan, designates Titanic's resting place as a memorial site. All of these need to remind us of the human cost of the tragedy. And as we reach the end of our tour of the Titanic exhibit here at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, I think it's fitting to leave with this mural of the Titanic and all the names that were lost of it on it. We also have the Thresher and the Scorpion and all the names that were lost on that. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. I thought it was informational and informative. And I'm going to leave you guys with this image of the Titanic. So until I see you guys next time, always remember, keep it kosher and also keep it safe.